Hallo und herzlich willkommen am ZKM Zentrum für Kunst und Medien zu unserem Konzert My City, My Sounds, Nicolás Melmann. Nicolás Melmann ist Teil eines Artistic Residency Programms, das wir im vergangenen Jahr hier installiert haben und das aufsetzt auf unsere Applikation My City, My Sounds. My City, My Sounds ist eine sogenannte Georeferenzierungsapplikation, mittels derer die Bürgerinnen und Bürger der Stadt Karlsruhe partizipativ zu einem riesengroßen Klangarchiv beitragen können und Hörspaziergänge, sogenannte Audio-Walks in der Stadt eigenständig erstellen können. Und Nicolás Melmann ist mittlerweile der zweite Präsentant. Wir hatten im Rahmen des Tag der offenen Tür bereits eine Präsentation von Rahel Kraft und Tomoko Hojo und werden auch in unmittelbarer Kürze noch Präsentationen erleben von Thomas Butler und von Amble Skews, und wir haben versucht, so eine Art Multiperspektive auf die Stadt Karlsruhe zu erzeugen. Das heißt, wir haben Klangkünstlerinnen und Künstler eingeladen, Audio-Walks beizusteuern, die, sage ich mal, in unterschiedlichen musikalischen Genres siedeln, die andererseits aber auch eher journalistische Aspekte aufgreifen und im Fall von Thomas Butler beispielsweise auf die Potenziale der Energiegewinnung für erneuerbare Energien in der Stadt Karlsruhe erarbeiten. Und Nicolás Melmann ist ein Künstler aus Argentinien, ist Multi-Instrumentalist, sehr versierter Multi-Instrumentalist, dessen Musik so an dem Cutting Edge von Folklore, argentinisch geprägter Folklore und Live-Elektronik siedelt. Das heißt, Nicolás Melmann hat auch in seiner Vergangenheit ganz versierte Soundtracks komponiert für Kinderfilme, hat unter anderem für Nickelodeon gearbeitet und ist jetzt aber mittlerweile seit 10 Jahren in Europa unterwegs als auftretender Musiker, lebt mittlerweile in Barcelona. Und wir freuen uns ganz sehr, dass er hier ist und im Vorfeld zu seiner eigentlichen Präsentation seines My City, My Sounds Projekts eine Performance präsentieren wird, die so gesehen eine Art hörspielartige oder live-performative Variante dessen ist, was letzten Endes dann in der Applikation My City, My Sounds zu erleben sein wird, ab kommendem Monat. Also viel Spaß mit Nicolás Melmann.
Das erste Karlsruher Kaufhaus wurde 1881 hier im ehemaligen Palais des Bankiers von Haber von den Geschwistern Knopf eingerichtet. 1912 bis 1914 erbauten sie nach Plänen von Wilhelm Kreis dieses Gebäude. Das jüdische Unternehmen wurde 1938 arisiert und von Friedrich Hölscher bis 1953 betrieben. 1954 übernahm die Karstadt AG das Warenhaus.
Yes, we are here at the corner of Zeringer Street to Kronen Street, near the former synagogue. This was the living place of one of the Ettlinger families. The house is a newer one from the beginning of the 20th century, but here lived, for example, Anna Ettlinger, which is also very important for woman emancipation at the end of the 19th century. She never married and she was born in the 1840s and tried to make a literary career, which was not used for women at that time, but she did it. This Ettlinger family is also interesting in other discussion points of emancipation for Jewish people, because her father, Veit Ettlinger, was a man who fight for Jewish emancipation. He was born die Gestapo-Zentrale hier in Karlsruhe, für ganz Baden zuständig, die wechselte dann an einen anderen Ort. Aber dieses Gebäude ist auch damit verbunden, dass hier im Hof nach der Reichspogromnacht 1938 die jüdischen Männer im Alter zwischen 16 Jahren und 65 Jahren gesammelt wurden und dann eben am Abend des 10. November 1938 in das Konzentrationslager Dachau gebracht wurden. Sinn und Zweck der Aktion war ja... Also einige jüdische Menschen überlebten die Verfolgung durch Verstecken am Kriegsende. Die meisten Juden aus Baden und aus Karlsruhe, die wurden ja 1940 an einem einzigen Tag abgeschoben in das unbesetzte Frankreich und im übernächsten Jahr dann in die Todeslager verbracht. Einige wenige Menschen, jüdische Menschen, die mit christlichen Ehepartnern verheiratet waren, die wurden dann in den Folgejahren nach und nach weggebracht, in die Todeslager gebracht. Und 1945 im Februar sollten die allerletzten hier lebenden Juden, das waren etwa noch 15 bis 18, also weggebracht werden in das KZ Theresienstadt. Und vor dieser Deportation konnten sich einige durch Verstecken retten, weil sie eben von christlichen Freunden versteckt wurden. Beispielsweise Karl Eisemann, ein Jurist, der durch Freunde, die er eben an Gerichten in der Stadt hatte, in einer Gartenhütte in Durlach, das ist ein Vorort von Karlsruhe, versteckt wurde. Oder aber ein Karlsruher, der hier in der Südstadt einen Tabakhandel hatte, der hat in der Gartenhütte seiner Schwägerin bei Ettlingen auch noch 3 oder 4 jüdische Menschen versteckt.
Das Bankhaus Weiz L. Homburger wurde 1854 gegründet und entwickelte sich zu einem bedeutenden Unternehmen. 1901 bezog es diesen von Robert Coryell und Karl Moser geplanten Bau. 1939 erzwangen die Boykottabnahmen der Nationalsozialisten die Liquidierung der jüdischen Bank.
Dammte steil die Angst nicht, dass Weiber von schriftstellerischem Talent nicht könnten, weiblich gefunden zu werden oder ihre Werke doch nicht so hoch zu stellen seien als die der Männer. Arme Furcht. Ein Buch muss gut sein, und wenn es eine Maus geschrieben hat, und wird dadurch auch nicht besser, wenn sein Autor Engelsflügel an den Schultern trägt. So viel fürs Buch selbst. Ob eine Frau schreiben soll, ist eine andere Frage und so possierlich als ernsthaft zu beantworten. Wenn sie Zeit hat, wenn sie Talent hat, wenn es ihr Mann befiehlt, wird sogar eheliche Pflicht sogar. Wenn er es leidet, gerne sieht, wenn es sie von Schlechterem abhält, wenn sie Gutes tut für den Sold und so weiter. Und sie muss es, wenn sie ein großer Autor ist. Wenn Fichtes Werke Frau Fichte geschrieben hätte, wären sie schlechter? Oder ist es aus der Organisation bewiesen, dass eine Frau nicht denken und ihre Gedanken nicht ausdrücken kann? Wäre dies, so blieb es doch noch Pflicht oder erlaubt, den Versuch immer von Neuem zu machen.
Der Bruder Jakob, Joshua, Silvia, das ist sein Bruder. Er schreibt besser. Fragt sich eine Frage. Verwas hat Baschewitz bekommen den Nobelpreis und sein Bruder nicht? Baschewitz hat er geschrieben auf Jiddisch.
encuentra en un templo solo si este templo es más pequeño que la iglesia mundial de Barcelona. De nuevo, los católicos están en este tema del ego y los tamaños, ¿sí? Entonces, esta sinagoga es muy pequeña. Esta puerta, esas dos ventanas. ¿Sí? Se mantuvo mucho tiempo y en el siglo XV, la católica era tan católica que dijo, por los judíos se van.
Deci, în prima familie de evrei a venit în Brașov în 1807. S-au stabilit aici, iar după ei au început să vină și alții, și alții, și alții, și alții. Astfel că, în anul 1901, în Brașov era o comunitate în jur de 2000 de evrei, fapt pentru care au decis să construiască această sinagogă. Au construit-o pe cheltuiala lor, au adus austrieci, arhitecți austrieci, care au făcut această clădire impresionantă. Clădirea aceasta
Der Basler Hof ist heute Sitz des Regierungspräsidiums Freiburg, der Mittelbehörde des Landes Baden-Württemberg. Der Basler Hof war von 1933 bis 1941 auch Sitz der Geheimen Staatspolizei, der sogenannten Gestapo. Hier in den Kellerräumen wurden Menschen vorgeladen, verhört, erniedrigt und gequält. Wir haben deshalb eine Gedenktafel aufgestellt, die an die Opfer der nationalsozialistischen Terrorregimes und jener Bürgerinnen und Bürger gedenkt, die damals in diesem Haus gelitten haben und nachher auch.
Что переводится с идиша как «быстрее, скорее». Я работаю уже в Бекицере более 2 лет. Бекицер – это заведение в первую очередь о еде и напитках. Мы первое заведение, которое показало Санкт-Петербургу израильскую кухню. Мы рассказали людям, что такое пряная восточная кухня со специей.
Vida judía tenés Varsovia, Vilna, Kiev, Odessa, Bardichev, Minsk, San Petersburgo, Kharkov, que es la frontera entre Ucrania y Rusia, muy cerca de la frontera. Kiev, Minsk y bueno, Vilna, Varsovia. Hay sinagogas, hay vida comunitaria, hay escuelas, hay teatro, hay conciertos, hay iglesias.
Два килограмма рыбы, 400 грамм лука, 2 моркови, 1 свекла, около 200 граммов, 3 дольки чеснока, 200-250 граммов черствой булки, 2 яйца, подсолнечное масло для жарки лука, соль и перец по вкусу. Мелко порубите лук, оставьте целую одну небольшую луковицу и обжарьте его в подсолнечном масле до золотистого цвета. Обжарьте лук в той же кастрюле, в которой будете варить рыбу. Замочите булку в холодной воде. Рыбу почистите. Нарежьте кусками, вырежьте мякоть. Мякоть пропустите через мясорубку вместе с размоченной булкой.
There is a Jewish community here in Brasov of about 240 Jewish people, but a big part of them are old people. Youngers, they go to Israel, to Kabir,
I work on Bekitzer 2 years, and we were the first place in St. Petersburg who shows people Israeli cuisine. That we show the spices, the coffee, Turkish coffee, and smells, and really very tasty and great food. And for me, this is very important because my father is Jewish.
schreibt besser. Fragt sich eine Frage. Für was hat Baschewitz bekommen den Nobelpreis und sein Bruder nicht? Baschewitz hat er geschrieben auf Jiddisch? Weil ist gestorben in 1950 sehr jung. Und in 1950, 5 Jahre nach der Milchome, hat man nie gegeben keinen Nobelpreis für Literatur. Es hat bedarf darüber gehen. Mehr wie etwa 20 Jahre, bis Agnon und Melisatz haben bekommen in 66 und Baschewitz in 78. Das heißt, ein Jahr später.
Обжаривайте лук в той же кастрюле, в которой будете варить рыбу. Замочите булку в холодной воде. Рыбу почистите и нарежьте кусками, а также вырежьте мякоть. Мякоть пропустите через мясорубку вместе с размоченной булкой, чесноком и оставшейся сырой луковицей. Добавьте жареный лук, не весь, яйца, соль, перец и хорошо перемешайте. Если фарш получился слишком соленым, можно добавить немного сахарного песку. Этим фаршем нафаршируйте куски рыбы. На дно кастрюли поверх жареного лука нарежьте кружками морковь и свеклу, а на них разложите куски рыбы. Посолите, поперчите, залейте холодной водой так, чтобы вода Только покрыла рыбу и варите на среднем огне 2 часа с момента закипания. Если вода сильно вскипела, можно немного долить холодной воды, но не позднее, чем за час до конца варки. Остывшую рыбу разложите на блюде и украсьте морковью из соуса. Фиш-картошка 7-8 очищенных картофелин средних и разрезанных на 4 части. Бульон, оставшийся после гефитле фиш, поставьте на огонь, дайте вскипеть, положите в него картофель и варите до готовности. Это блюдо – прекрасный гарнир к гефитле фиш.
Hier befand sich von 1914 bis 1936 die Matzenfabrik Strauß. Die Firma hatte 1865 in Karlsruhe mit der Herstellung von Matzen, ungesäuertem Brot, begonnen. 1936 musste der letzte Besitzer Semi Strauß angesichts der zunehmenden Bedrohung durch die Nationalsozialisten emigrieren.
Alla fine del 1400, nel 1492, sbattono fuori gli stabilimenti ebrei. Portogallo non li sbattono proprio gli ebrei, capiscono che erano cambiati. A partire da quel momento gli ebrei diventano quelli che arrivano dal ma ci sono anche altri.
Rosa Billig Nebrechler, Samuel Billig, Sigmund Billig, Edith Billigheimer, Hannelore Billigheimer, Ingrid Billigheimer, Irma Billigheimer nee Hochherr, Kurt Billigheimer, Melanie Billigheimer, Sally Birk nee Weinberger, Hermann Planck, Alfons Blum, Alfred Blum, Emil Blum, Emma Blum nee Bing, Erwin Blum, Hedwig Blum, Isabella Blum nee Ellikan, Julie Blum nee Haas, Leopold Blum, Minna Blumenthal, Alex Bodenheimer, Meier Gärtner, Rosa Gärtner nee Horowitz, Felix Gehr, Else Geiger nee Metzger, Helene Geiger, Rosa Geiger, Rosa Geismar, Martha Gemmecke, Eugenie Goldschmidt, Frieda Goldschmidt, Julius Goldschmidt, Clara Goldschmidt, Lina Goldschmidt, Mendel Goldschmidt, Rudolf Goldschmidt, Arnold Goldschmidt, Salomon Haas, Baruch Hackel, Hans Hackel, Ida Hackel, Josef Hackel, Paula Hackel, Peter Hackel, Hermann Hagenauer, Nathan Hagenauer, Tekla Hagenauer, Julius Hahn, Bodil Herschkolowitsch, Sigmund Herz, Helene Herzberg, Adolf Hess, Bianca Hess, Samut.
Thank you very much, Nicolás.
My pleasure.
So now on the... ich glaube, ich spreche besser auf Englisch, bevor ich überhaupt gefragt habe, ob hier von den Anwesenden eventuell wer nicht Englisch versteht.
Ich spreche Deutsch.
Lügt doch nicht.
No, I was joking.
Genau. Also gibt es jemand, die oder der größere Probleme dabei hätte, Englisch zu verstehen? Dann würden wir simultan versuchen, etwas zu übersetzen.
What?
Ja?
Are you talking to me?
Geht schon? Okay, so in the next minutes, in den nächsten Minuten wird Nicolás Melmann sein Projekt und das, was wir gerade gehört haben, versuchen zu kontextualisieren und ein bisschen in seine Arbeit einführen. Und im Anschluss werden wir uns noch ein bisschen miteinander unterhalten. And I'm pretty sure that you did not understand everything properly.
Nothing.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I just told them that now you will briefly explain your project, and later we will have a talk together, and then also the audience can address you with their questions.
Okay.
So.
Well, thanks a lot for coming. First of all, there are faces I know who came from other cities to come, so I'm very happy to see you. First of all, I would like to thank the ZKM for this amazing opportunity. I'm very happy. I've been working here in the city around 3 weeks. It was very intense. Hope you understand my English. It's okay. There's no choice, so I'm sorry. Well, it's been very interesting, the process here in Karlsruhe. Basically, what you hear, it's built with a lot of sounds of the city, due to the fact that the residence is called My City, My Sounds, makes a lot of sense, right? And I did a research on the city of Jewish life, present and past, and I did some recordings in the city and some interviews, and I used some text from people from Karlsruhe, like writers, a couple of very interesting women who live here, born here, who do stuff for feminism at the time, who tried to work, for example, as a writers in a moment with the history where a woman could not do such a thing, right? So we did a little we did a little progress, sorry, in that sense, but not that much, but we did a little. So it's been very interesting to see the city, then do the project, and then see the city again, because you feel a different dimension of the space. For example, yesterday I was riding my bike in the city, listening the rehearsal of this, with the sounds and the voice explaining which place means what and what happened in these places, and my perception of the space was completely different. I don't know if it's allowed to listen music riding the bike here in Barcelona. It's a crime. You get 100 euros for that. So, but I was doing that yesterday, and I just, for example, passed through a burned synagogue, who looks now is hearing devices placed for people who has problems for hearing. That was a synagogue. There's no signs of anything, just a letter, like saying, like a little sign saying what happened there. Also passing through the police station where the people were taken there and deported to the camps, and well, I've been doing this project since 1 year, and the project is about the Jewish diaspora. So it's this migration process who took lot of years, and it's been all over the world. That's why the project called Spread. So I did recordings and research in Morocco, in France, in Italy, in Argentina, in the States, in Germany, in Romania, in Russia, in many places in the world. And for example, I use different languages. I don't know if you heard some in the piece, but it's a way to represent how the Jewish people mix with different cultures as a product of this forced migration process, because the Jewish people was kicked out many times from many places along the history until Germany, and that was like the last stop of the travel. And being here, working here with this theme was a very different experience, quite heavy, quite moving for me. Sometimes I was like feeling a little bit bad, having like nightmares at night, like because well, I've been with this historian. I did a research with an historian person from the archive from Karlsruhe. He told me a lot of stories. He showed me a lot of places, and it was a really strong experience. And well, this is the sort of the result of the thing. I upload a lot of sounds from the rest of the world, or to the application My City, My Sounds, where you can listen and download for free, and you can also use and upload sounds, record and upload sounds. That's the idea of the application. Who works with the soundscape of the city. I don't know if you are familiar with this concept of soundscape, who born in, I'm not sure when, like in the 70s, 80s, okay, with in Canada with the composer Murray Schafer, who just relate the word landscape and the word sound and put them together somehow. And he started to develop a different appreciation of the environment, the sound environment, which is everywhere. I mean, it's now here in this room, right? Like this room has a sound identity. For example, if we close our eyes now and we listen, we identify some sounds, some aspects of the room, right? I mean, a room can have an identity, a city can have an identity, and can also represent cultural aspects of this place or the history as well with the sound. And that's the idea of the project somehow. I will upload all the sounds from Karlsruhe, and you can check it online. And I think it's a way also to point in the map some specific places and moments of the history. For example, one of the locations I most was surprised somehow, or is the Karstadt place, who was taken by the Nazis from the Jewish owners, and I mean also there are many places in the city where this happened. Another one is the restaurant called Babiano, who used to be a bank owned by one of the oldest Jewish families in town. So that, make me think how the soundscape of the city changed because of cultural, political and social issues, which of course this happened everywhere along the history, and but this is now here in Karlsruhe, right? I'm talking too much, maybe?
No. Continue, go on, as long as you prefer.
Well, that was basically the process of this, and this is a kind of a piece composed with the sounds of the city, a site-specific composition, we could say. And well, I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to have you here listening. Thanks for the patience. Thanks to Yannick, to Götz, to Lisa, to Sophie, who works a lot for this, to Dorten. My pronunciation of the German, it's very, very bad. Dorothea, who also collaborate with me. All the team from the museum. What else? I don't know. Any questions or
over
comments?
There's the first question.
Could you show us some of the instruments you used and tell us,
of course,
why and what they do or what they are?
Well, there's not really an explanation. Like it's just maybe because I like them. This is a glass harp or crystal harp who was broken on the plane, and I lost 2 tubes coming here. So it was a lot of broken glass here, and I have to smash it with the hammer to take off the glass. Yannick saw that. I'm gonna pick it. Has a very nice vibration, right? Some people use them for this medicinal sound therapy and stuff.
Will you be able to repair it?
I have to order the tubes to China, maybe, or I don't know. This is a Chinese flute. It's called bawu. It has like a low sound, like a clarinet or something like that. Those are bells. This is called tone bar. Has also a very long resonation. Some people use it also for meditation. And so my purpose is that you fall asleep during the thing. That's the idea. These are some maracas from Mexico, some Latin vibe. This is a mini hang drum, which the funny thing of all this is that you do this and it doesn't work. So I can be 4 hours doing this. I use all these acoustic instruments and process them through the microphone and create these organic, electronic, weird atmospheres. This is a lira. I never know how to pronounce this in other languages rather than Spanish. It's one of the oldest instruments in the history of the music. In Spanish it's lira. In English, I don't know, lire. Do you know? Anyone? Yeah. It's a mini harp. This is this is called lip motion, and it's a sort of theremin. I mean, it's a sensor. You can use it in many ways. If you want, you can come here and see it. You don't have to be sitting there. So this is going through this software.
Wait, which one is it? Is it an e-theremin?
Somehow, I mean, it's a sensor. You can use it in many ways to do many, many things. I use it in a very basic way, let's say. So you can see here, it's detecting your fingers.
I thought you made hypnosis there.
If anyone wants to try it.
It's like magic.
Yeah, it detects. I mean, you can do many, many things. It's,
Can I try too?
yeah, of course, for free. It don't go so long.
That's all.
This is it's called EBO. It works like with metal strings, so it does like makes the string vibrate.
But only one?
I mean, yeah, only one. it works with this, and I mean, it's only one string vibrating, but there's empathy between them, so they like vibrate. This is Lily Marlene, who makes a little bit of sense with the thing. And that's it. And there is a lot of virtual instruments like who I use. And this is a sort of sound collage. Sorry? This one? It's a kalimba. It's an African instrument. I didn't use it, but... So I'm traveling, so I'm trying to use small instruments because Ryanair issues. So I don't know what else.
And still they break them on the airplane, right? And still they break them, even though they are so small, those instruments.
Yes, they do. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna do like just folk or something like that. Yeah. I don't know what else can I add to this.
So Nicolás, don't you want to elaborate a little bit more on the spread project itself? So I mean, it's such an interesting
should I pick my
microphone
or?
Is he plugged? Do you hear him? You hear him.
Okay.
Then I think if you can hear him, then you don't need a microphone necessarily.
No. Okay.
Then I also want a microphone to ask you questions.
I don't know.
If you have one,
well, the spread project has been it has 1 year of working on this. I did some recordings you hear were from Romania, from Morocco, from Italy. I've been learning a lot about history with this project. It's been very interesting, really. For example, I've been doing some recordings in the ghetto of Venezia in Italy, which result to be the first ghetto in the history of the humanity, let's say, somehow. The word ghetto, it looks like the word ghetto start there, like was created there somehow. It was very, very nice. It was one of the places who I realized that, I mean, in my imagination, like the soundscape wasn't so different there that could be long time ago, because it's very silent. There's no much tourism there in this ghetto because it's a little bit far away from the center of Venice. So you could somehow imagine that the soundscape of that place didn't change that much. Same happened in Casablanca and Rabat in Morocco, where the synagogues were located in the middle of the ancient Medina, which is like the Arab neighborhood there. And I mean, an Arab market still sound the same than 100 years ago somehow, except from some ringtone, someone who picked the phone. But the rest is people selling fish, screaming, cows, and energy. And yeah, that was, for example, very, very curious. Also, I don't know, I record sounds in, well, for example, in Barcelona, where there is like a place called Montjuïc. Those who are been in Barcelona, you know him. Montjuïc result to be, it means Jewish mountain in Catalan, and used to be an old Jewish cemetery. No one knows this, even the people who lives in Spain, in Barcelona. And yeah, it's like a very, very touristic mainstream spot of the city, for example. Or I discover, well, in the one curious thing is like along all these countries and places I visit, the Jewish areas become somehow touristic places. I mean, places where people go to observe somehow to see. So it's interesting how this changed along the time, and a place who used to be, I mean, a neighborhood of people, now people see it from a different perspective as a tourist. You know? It's like a touristic attraction somehow. For example, in Spain, in Barcelona, I discovered how like it looks like the old Jews. There were many forbidden works for Jewish people and for Christians. One that for example, medicine, etc. One that the Jewish could do at that time was borrow money. So and Christians can't borrow money. So it looks like the Jews were walking in the streets of Barcelona with wood steps, like let's say like this. This has no, okay, but something like this with wood steps, which in Spanish is called banco, and that's where like the word bank came from, and it looks like if these Jewish people borrow you, invest on your business, and your business goes bad, let's say, at that time you have the right to broken my bank, so I cannot work with this. And that's where the bank rob word came from. For example, stuff like this, like very curious. Well, and yeah, it could be an infinite project, you know, because they went to India, they went everywhere. So I don't know.
Okay, so it seems as if many of the places, also the places which you showed us or which we could listen to, which are settled in the city of Karlsruhe, they are not there anymore. So you have to render something visible, or respectively we have to render something audible. And how do you approach this? How do you approach the new city? How do you explore the Jewish community? How do you find these traces?
Well, here in this city was difficult because most of places disappear. I found an historian person who helped me to find places. I discovered some by myself, searching on internet or just walking on the street and finding signs. But it's just like something little on a wall or on the floor. So again, like working in Germany is different for this. It's very strong, and it's very interesting as well to see how the shape of the city changed and the soundscape of the city changed because of this, because of the Nazism. Yeah.
And is or was there any exchange with the Jewish communities in the cities where you recorded?
It is. It was. Yes. Here I visit the synagogue. I want to take to Anton, who helped me with the project and to bring me there. Yeah, in Barcelona I record, for example, a Shabbat ceremony. The whole ceremony, which is not usual because there's not allowed. I mean, to use technology in that moment, you know, I'm not a religious person, so I'm legal doing that, but it was a ceremony, and they were there, and they allowed me to do this. Of course, I had an interview with the rabbi, and he was okay with this. And yeah, I did interview people in different, like in Romania, in Russia. I also, I record sounds in a Jewish synagogue and school in Moscow, where the religious people was studying there, the Torah. I mean, the project is not focused on religion somehow. It's more, the idea is more to show this diversity of the culture of the people as a product of this forced migration process, who not only happened to the Jewish people, of course, happened to many communities in the world, Armenian, etc. And it's not really about religion somehow. And somehow it's, I mean, this kind of project or artistic projects in general, I think you discover what it is on the perspective. When you are doing this, or when you start to do it, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what you have in front. It's a whole process. Who I'm sort in the middle, maybe, or I don't know, but I'm understanding the thing during the time somehow.
And did you have to adapt your approaches, which you already followed during the whole spread project? Did you have to adapt this when you worked on My City, My Sounds?
Adapt what? Sorry?
Did you have to adapt your approach, your artistic approach?
No, I mean, I was absolutely free, I think. I found some difficulties in Germany to find the places and to find life somehow. I mean, Jewish life, because other places where, I mean, the Jewish life was more alive, or here there's not much going on. Well, Karlsruhe is a small city, of course. Maybe in Berlin or in Munich, I think it's more Jewish people living there. But yeah, here it's a lot of people from Soviet Union who came after the 45. Some German Jewish, I think they came back when the war finished. They just came back and start to build everything again, but that people might be dead now. So yeah, I mean, the difficulty I found is to find. I mean, to find. Well, I don't think it's a difficulty. It's different. I think instead of find, let's say, life somehow, I found how the city mutates or change.
But isn't there a difference when one compares, let's say, the recordings you did for the whole spread project in comparison to the recordings you took for My City, My Sounds, in so far that spread is, let's say, an online-based archive, which you can then experience while sitting at home in front of the computer, for instance, while My City, My Sounds deals basically with on-site experience. So does this make a difference, experiencing the sounds which you recorded on-site at the original places?
Yeah, well, in the city of Karlsruhe, it's gonna be, let's say, two versions of the sounds. I will upload the soundscape, the actual soundscape of the place, and also it's gonna be the sounds of this interview I did with the historian person of the archive. So it's gonna be the soundscape, and also it's gonna be, I mean, it reflects how the soundscape changed, and it's gonna be also the history, the spoken word history of the place. For example, the last thing we heard on the concert was a list of murdered people from the city, from Karlsruhe, which is a memorial stone which is on the new Jewish cemetery on the city. So you might found in the map the soundscape of the cemetery, the birds, the peaceful ambience, and then this as well. And what I was like telling you before, or you, is that yesterday I was really riding my bike, listening the sounds, and it was, I mean, of course I made it, so it's very personal, it's my experience, but it really changed the perception of the space somehow. So I think it's a very useful application because I mean, especially for this project, helps you to understand the city in a different way. The sounds from the Karstadt. When I started the concert, there is a voice explaining the history of the place. It is from an employee of the Karstadt I recorded, and she born here in the city, and she didn't knew this, for example. She didn't knew how this changed, for example. Which, of course, I mean, everyday life, who can memorize everything, right? But it's like, it's just a way to point something in the map through sound.
So I'm very curious to experience it. So I'm wondering when exactly will the work be published? Do you know this already? So
I hope it's gonna be during the next days. Yeah, I mean next week. I do have like all these list of sounds, which is a lot of a lot of material to edit and process. So I'm working on this now, and I will upload all this.
But there's Casablanca on it. So now you're talking about sounds which you prepared also
maybe
for the whole project.
This was
right?
not the right
okay.
list. Maybe?
Okay, I should not have tell it to them.
Sorry about that. It wasn't the list of Karlsruhe. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, can I give you the microphone, because we're recording this, and then we have your voice and your question on tape.
Can you tell me also something about the films we see and the beautiful and the pictures?
Well, the film is, I mean, I created somehow, but it's not. I mean, it's not made it with people, Jewish people, blah blah blah. It's just something I made. I want to do that with archives and stuff, but it's really, I mean, it's a very big project, and I hope in some moment I have time to do something like that.
Over there, you raised your arm first.
Hey, just for me to understand this. Was this the first time you did such a stupid word, but show? I don't know. Concert. That's the word. Concert out of your research of this Jewish diasporas and out of the sounds that you've been recording.
Yes, as a concert, yes, yeah.
And did you use, I wonder, because of the different languages, did you use material that you had recorded before in the other?
Yeah. It was some Russian. For example, when I was playing this little guy, it was like a gefilte fish recipe in Russian, which is like a typically Jewish food. So it's a way to, I mean, to show how the Jewish people speaks different languages as a product of this process. That's why also when I do the interviews, most of times I let the people speak in their own language, and then I also interview them in English, but I prefer to use files in their language to point this, to show this. And also because in my musical world I use spoken word, sometimes with meaning, sometimes just as a pure sound, as a musical stuff.
So would you agree that, because I find it quite like reading it like that, like bringing the different diasporas, the kind of forced emigration, forced going away, and then kind of reuniting them to this imaginary center maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to read it like that. I think it's a very beautiful idea.
Danke.
Are there some more arms raising up into the air? Oh, over there.
Thank you. You said that you are interested in life, and if you are going by bike, you are listening to your sound done by yourself, or wind, or I don't know. Except the spoken word, there is a sound, and now I want to know where is the difference between the abstract sound and the Jewish sound?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I don't know if I'm interested in life. Somehow, when I started this project, I didn't want to focus on the tragedy somehow. I also don't want to be like a super positive thing or whatever. It's just like I didn't want to do like such a dark thing. Here, for example, let's say a recording from the Karstadt or Bapiano is neutral. I mean, it's just a sound neutral. It's a restaurant. It's absolutely nothing. It doesn't represent anything, nothing. But in this context, with the background explanation pointed in a map in the application saying this place was this and this happened, has a different meaning, or maybe you just your perception change somehow. I mean, in my case, that's that. Yeah. I mean, of course, the sound of the. I mean, you hear some crowds in the recordings, which is a distinctive sound in this city, which there's everywhere. I think those were in Matze Fabrik, who used to be Matze is the Jewish bread, and it is a little bit outside of Karlsruhe, still being Karlsruhe, and was also like the owner must leave because he had threats and stuff, and and that was not appropriated by the Nazis, but it was also a family who was working in the city, Jewish family, producing Jewish products for many years, and they have to live. Some other spoken words were texts from a writer, a feminist writer from Karlsruhe, Jewish, with the Jewish background. Well, yeah, those are not so abstract somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think earlier you pointed this point out, that it was particularly hard to find, let's say, Jewish sounds in the soundscape of the city of Karlsruhe. So there were not so many, one can say. So this could be the case, definitely. So
yeah, I mean, for example, I was doing this project in the city, and well, I found two burned synagogues, and one who also disappeared. And well, I just record the soundscape of the place, and it's what it is. I mean, it is what it is now, and is how it changed. Yeah.
So imagine if you have the soundscape and then you have, let's say, a Christian soundscape could be potentially consist of, let's say, church bells ringing. They are often, let's say, auditory sound marks which you can identify and which somehow shape the identity of the soundscape. So maybe this would be more of the question whether during your auditory research did you also discover some genuinely Jewish sounds in the soundscape of the city of Karlsruhe? It's a very banal question maybe, but...
No, I mean... I do have sounds from an interview to a person who moves here in this city after the Soviet Union, Jewish person, religious person. I have some recordings on the synagogue, yeah, a little bit of that, yeah. That's, I think, the only thing who directly represent, but yeah. I mean, it's not, I'm not sure if it's exactly the objective. I mean, it's also to represent how the thing change. It's also what I found on the way, because you have an idea, you do your research, then you go to a place and you find what you find somehow. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's neutral, it's boring.
Was a very tough question.
Are you finished?
But, regarding what you say, I was riding my bike as well, and like listening the church, the Christian church, and the space, right? And I mean, that's still there. The church still there, the sound still there. That didn't change.
Now I connect the missing link. So if you're interested in live, then I have a suggestion. Please stop riding your bike with your earphones plugged in.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, maybe we skip to the next question.
I'm not sure I remember well, but you had like water sounds and rain in it as well. And I just remember now, is there a meaning for it for you, or was it just sound nice? Or?
Well, yeah, it was water. Yeah, it wasn't rain. It's a water monument in Freiburg, which is a neighbor city, and it's a burned synagogue, who now is a water monument. And yeah, you go there, and it's a sort of sculpture who has the shape of the old synagogue, and it's covered by water who is flowing constantly. And there is a lot of controversial things about this, because there is full of naked childs playing there in the water, so which somehow is life, but some people feel offended for this, and I also understand that. Yeah, that was the water. Yeah.
So is there a question which does not explicitly address the topic soundscape?
Okay. With regard to your different tools, is there a special approach to traditional Jewish music?
No, not really. No. No, it's more, I don't know, some weird. I mean, I use some very old instruments connected with technology, but yeah, no, musically there's no link, no connection.
Yeah, aesthetically, I was very much reminded of the Hörespiel. Are you familiar with the term Hörespiel? Did you?
Yes.
So because you integrated both soundscapes, and you integrated spoken word, and also, yeah, let's say, music, which was partly folkloristic. So at first I expected this instrument to be, let's say, connected to Jewish culture, especially this flute. So I was very impressed when you said that it's Chinese. I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah.
And also of this instrument.
Everything is Chinese, I mean.
And I really
everywhere.
hope that you will be able to get this fixed very soon.
Yeah.
Because this is really a very, very special instrument. You cannot buy this at every place. So I think it was 1 week ago you told me that there is one supplier in China for these very special pipes. So all fingers are crossed that you can get these things fixed very soon. Okay, so over there is one last question.
Yeah, it refers to the very beginning of your project. I want to know what was your initial idea for the whole spread project as well.
Well, it was to do a sound cartography or sound map of the diaspora somehow and try to represent cultural and historic aspects of true sound.
Like, how did you get to the topic of the Jewish diaspora? Like, how did it come to be the starting point of your research?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I feel it's connected with my history somehow. I mean, my family, which is also Jewish, immigrate from we don't know where. Also, my last name changed, and somehow we lost our origin. We don't know where the guy born. We think it's Ukraine, Poland, etc. And yeah, and I think that might be maybe a starting point.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicolás. So it was really a pleasure to experience your concert and to have you here. So he said that in about 1 week, and I think we can make it 2 or 3 weeks, the walk by Nicolás Melmann will be experienceable for all of us as part of the My City, My Sounds app project. So make sure to download the app onto your smart device, though it's at the moment it's iOS exclusive, so you can only experience it in case you have an Apple product. But anyway, so in 3 weeks, I want to see all of you in the city of Karlsruhe, hopefully not riding your bikes, but with your earphones plugged in. So
You can also check it online, right?
Right, you can also check it online. It's mycity-mysounds.zkm.de. So thank you very much, Nicolás.